I'm so happy that those wonderful people were able to speak to us today. It brings my heart so much joy because I think that no one can tell us who we are. And so it's wonderful to be able to see people claiming their own identity. What is queer culture to me? It's a complicated question, but also the easiest one in the world to answer. Queer culture is rainbows and glitter. It is Kesha and Janelle Monáe being fabulous and claiming themselves in front of the entire world. Queer culture is clubbing and half-naked bodies and sweat and glamour. Queer culture is my mom's getting married in a white dress and a tux in a UU church. Queer culture is Friendsgivings and chosen family and throwing bricks at police when they try to beat you into submission. Queer culture is knowing that the first Pride was a riot, that love can look like Black and brown trans prostitutes, saving us all with their bravery. Queer culture is two boys kissing in the middle of the street at 2 a.m. or at noon during their lunch break. Being a queer adult in the United States means having the freedom to exist. It's hard, and people sometimes try to kill us or destroy us, out us, and refuse healthcare to the most vulnerable of us. Yet there is something particularly terrifying, scary, thinking about what our LGBTQIA+ children go through to survive. Day of Silence is a day created by and marked by our queer youth and young adults. It is a protest in schools throughout the country. Middle schoolers, high schoolers, and college students choose to protest in the spaces where they spend the majority of their time. Places where the administration and the teachers and the parents have so much power over them. In small towns and big cities, these children and teenagers and young adults brave this terrifying, broken world and hope that someone will notice. Day of Silence is a day to draw attention to the bullying, harassment, and violence perpetrated against queer kids in schools. The first time I heard about the Day of Silence, I was in middle school. I had just come out to my church friends and my lesbian mother as bisexual. I was also in the second public school that I had to leave because of bullying and harassment due to my mother being openly gay. They didn't even know I was queer, but having a gay mom was enough. After that, I went to a private school where they didn't care so much because I was a girl, but my bisexual and gay male friends were routinely beat up by people who smiled at me in class. To any queer kids out there watching this today, you are the bravest people I know. Be strong, be sensitive, be kind to yourself. And most importantly, do whatever you need to do to survive this. It really does get better. In the 2020 GLS-EN Zine for Day of Silence, Oliver Smith, he, them pronouns, said in their article, Trans History, I remember the first time I heard the story of Stonewall. I was probably 14, recently out, and thirsty for every ounce of information I could get my hands on. For months, I thought about throwing bricks and marching in the streets, surrounded by trans and queer people like those in the stories. I was trapped in my own history, overwhelmed by what I should have learned so much sooner. No one had ever taught me who my queer and trans ancestors were. No one taught me about the AIDS crisis or about the Black and brown trans women that fought for my freedom. Trans history is a part of me. Queer history is a part of me. Every time our history is erased is another moment that kids like me are in the dark. We deserve our history. We deserve to know about those who have come before us and how we can carry on their legacies. It is time to break the silence. Like Oliver said, an integral part of the Day of Silence is what you do at the end. You gather with your community if you have one and you break the silence. You gather and celebrate that you and your loved ones are here and you will not be silenced. Today, we are breaking the silence together, queer folk and allies together. We all deserve to know about queer and trans history, and we all deserve to know about the fantastic, beautiful, amazing voices of queer people today, particularly our youth. When I was in middle school and high school, my family were members of the UU congregation of Binghamton, New York. I grew up with an amazing group of kids. I would say that 2/3 or more of my youth group were people of the rainbow. We were bisexual bandits, trans outlaws, gay queens, and everything in between. I had like 3 straight friends in high school. I remember bringing other queer kids from my Catholic high school to my UU youth group and seeing their eyes go wide when they realized that we were swearing and roughhousing and painting the ceiling with glitter and rainbows without fear. They looked at the adults in the room and expected to get in trouble when they were themselves, their loud, unrepressed, unapologetic selves. In UU spaces, it is taken for granted that the youth are loud and do their own thing, and sometimes people find it annoying or try to police their behavior, but there is a safe space here for queer kids. It does not always extend past the walls of the youth room. When my best friend came out as non-binary in college, people at church really struggled with it. Their UU family struggled with it. UUs are not perfect. But for God's sake, we try. We want all our kids to get the chance to grow up kind and strong and beautifully unique. Unitarian Universalist Church saved my life in high school. It saved my friends. It gave us a place to be ourselves and a place to be together. Today, we are breaking the silence. We are gathering together and using our words and our faces and our presence in this time to show that you cannot silence us. This world cannot silence the rainbow people, and it cannot silence the people who love us. One of the ways that the world tries to silence the LGBTQIA+ community is by denying us our history. Even when pieces of queer history enter the mainstream media, is often only a small part of the story. Like Oliver, I went looking for every piece of queer and trans history that I could find when I came out. And I still watch every documentary and read new books and watch YouTube videos to see our ever-evolving tapestry of elders and ancestors. The AIDS epidemic robbed us of so much of our history, so many of our elders. When people talk about how conservative most of the boomer generation turned out, I have to pause for a moment in grief, because an entire generation of queer folk were murdered by the public officials who not only refused to look for a vaccine or effective treatments, but told gay people that they deserved to die from a horrifying disease. I think everyone in this room has a better idea what it might have been like then than we ever could have imagined before this last year. Now, not all of our history is depressing, but what I am most in awe of is how it puts into stark relief how powerful it is to be outside the heteronormative boxes that are so easy to stuff ourselves into in this world. In UU circles, we talk a lot about cultural misappropriation, rightly. We have a habit of taking other people's sacred rituals and not doing justice to them. However, I want to say to all of you that leaving the heteronormative box of straight culture in this country is not appropriation of queer culture. Please cover yourself in glitter to pull roots in your garden. Put dresses and tutus on your boy children and tuxes on your girl children. Remind yourself that you don't have to be a man or a woman, but you can be if you want to. Love yourself enough to live outside of what the world tells you that you must be. Break the silence. And for goddess's sake, please tell your children, every child you meet, that they are perfect and whole, even if they are loud and swear and roughhouse and wear jeans to church or fishnets or lots and lots of eyeliner. Our youth need us to remind them that they are loved, that they are strong, and also that they shouldn't have to be, that it gets so much better than broken hallways and hate-filled people. Unitarian Universalists are some of the best people I know. And also, we need to recognize that we are a sanctuary, that wherever we gather, whether online or in person, is a sanctuary for those who need to feel safe and loved and whole. I charge you to take that role seriously and make this space safe and welcoming for those who come here in need of respite. Sometimes you will be the one in need of rest. Let us help each other heal and create in our hallways the world as we wish it to be. For me, that will always be a youth room filled with laughter, with painted handprints and gummy bears stuck to the wall. I hope you find yours here. Thank you.